After dealing with a narcissist, you may have found yourself asking, do they all read from the same book? Because the stories people share about their experiences often seem like different versions of the same script, don't they? From manipulation tactics to gaslighting and subtle put downs, the patterns are strangely similar across countless relationships. What if I told you there are certain books that many narcissists seem to know very well, almost like sacred texts? These books become their guides, helping them sharpen their manipulative skills and perfect their control over others. In today's episode, I'm going to expose these sources of inspiration, the books that narcissists often turn to as if they are reading from a manual to refine their behaviors. I am Danish, a narcissistic abuse recovery professional, and today we will be uncovering the top 5 favorite books of a narcissist. Before we dive in, you have to guess the list of the books without looking at the chapters and drop your list in the comments to match it with mine. Let me make one thing very clear. My intention here is not to defame these books or their authors. Each of these works was created with its own purpose and perspective, often meant to educate or explore human behavior. However, like anything else, knowledge can be twisted and weaponized. Narcissists have a way of taking certain principles and turning them into tools for destruction. I'm not condemning these books at all, but rather shedding light on how a narcissist might misuse the insights they contain to cause massive harm. Book number 1, The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. I have seen so many narcissists obsessed with this book. It is the number 1 on their shelf, almost like a personal manual for domination. The 48 Laws of Power was written to explore tactics people can use to gain influence and control in various spheres of life. While it is meant to provide insight into power dynamics, narcissists often see it as a guide to mastering manipulation. This book is structured into 48 laws, each outlining strategies for gaining and maintaining power. While Green's purpose may be to shed light on historical power dynamics, a narcissist sees this as a roadmap to exploit, deceive, and rule others. Let's look at a few examples of how they might weaponize these laws. One of the laws teaches to conceal your intentions. You know, narcissists love to operate from a place of hidden motives, don't they? They use this law to justify their lying or manipulating behavior. They won't openly admit their intentions, and they will just give enough information to keep you guessing. You will often find yourself wondering, asking, what are they really after? Another law that advises to crush your enemy totally is the one that resonates deeply with a narcissist's need to dominate. When a narcissist perceives you as a threat or someone who is starting to see through their mask, what will they do? They'll go to the extremes of destroying you, and this law will serve as a justification. The most dangerous law is the one that suggests use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. They can misuse it masterfully. Narcissists know exactly when to show small acts of kindness, just enough to pull you back in when you start to distance yourself. We call it breadcrumbing. The problem isn't the book itself, but how a narcissist reads it, not as an examination of power, but as a toolkit for personal gain. In the hands of a narcissist, each of these laws becomes a tactic to control, rule, and manipulate. Number 2, The Prince by Niccolò Machiavelli. Narcissists have a particular affinity for The Prince by Niccolò Machiavelli. And it's no surprise. Not only does Machiavelli's name give us the term Machiavellianism, but in the field of psychology, Machiavellianism is recognized as one of the dark traits in the dark tetrad, which also includes narcissism, psychopathy, and sadism. Machiavellianism itself refers to a personality trait marked by cunning manipulation and a pragmatic, amoral approach to life. In one of Robert Greene's videos discussing his 3 favorite books, he names The Prince at the top of his list. Greene even admits to drawing inspiration from it, which says a lot about the influence this book holds over those interested in controlling others. So, how does a narcissist use the prince? Well, they use the idea of appearing virtuous while hiding darker intentions. It's a tactic Machiavelli encouraged for rulers. A narcissist may show a generous side to the public, which they do, portraying themselves as caring and selfless, only to use these acts as leverage to manipulate others. Machiavelli also wrote about choosing fear over love if one cannot have both. That's crazy. And narcissists often apply this principle to their relationships. They subtly instill fear to keep people compliant, making it clear that stepping out of line has consequences. The goal is to maintain control without the need for open conflict or discussion. In using the prince as their guide, narcissists adopt a pragmatic, unempathetic approach to their relationships. The third book on this list is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This might seem like an unexpected addition given its reputation as a classic self-help book that promotes positivity, empathy, and social skills. But in the hands of a narcissist, even the most well-intentioned advice can be weaponized for manipulation. For a narcissist, this book becomes a guide on how to charm and influence others, not for genuine connection, but to control and deceive. Carnegie's advice on making people feel important or showing genuine interest in them is twisted into tactics to build superficial rapport. They may shower you with compliments, ask questions that make you feel valued, seen, and seem incredibly attentive, all to lower your guard and gain your trust. Narcissists also leverage Carnegie's teachings on handling disagreements softly. Rather than confronting or revealing their true feelings, they employ passive-aggressive tactics or pretend to agree with you only to use that information against you later. Do you see how dangerous all of this is? This soft approach helps them mask their true intentions and avoid accountability, making it easier for them to continue manipulating without drawing suspicion. Narcissists are strategic in using these techniques to build a network of enablers and flying monkeys who support them unquestioningly. In the hands of a narcissist, how to win friends and influence people is no longer about kindness or empathy. It is a manual for creating an illusion of likability and trustworthiness while concealing their true manipulative motives. Book number 4, The Art of War by Sun Tzu. It is an ancient Chinese military treatise that's widely studied for its insights into strategy, conflict, and competition. The art of war emphasizes strategy, deception, and the importance of knowing your enemy. That is the point. Narcissists often take this to heart, treating every interaction as a battlefield where they need to win. They use tactics like withholding information, controlling narratives, and creating confusion, all of which are rooted in Sun Tzu's ideas of deception and misdirection. For example, a narcissist may play the long game in their relationships, mirroring and studying their partner's weaknesses and vulnerabilities only to weaponize them later. They may act supportive initially, gaining trust only to use that trust to manipulate or control. Sun Tzu's advice to appear weak when you are strong and strong when you are weak is something narcissists readily adopt, using a facade of vulnerability to lure you in before striking with manipulation. In professional settings, narcissists use these principles to divide and conquer, fostering competition and discord among colleagues while they maintain an appearance of neutrality. This aligns with Sun Tzu's teachings on weakening the enemy's alliances and morale, effectively using others' conflicts to their own advantage. The art of war in the hands of a narcissist becomes a toolkit for psychological warfare. What was intended as a manual for defense and battle becomes a handbook for controlling others in subtle and insidious ways. Number 5, all the religious scriptures they can use as tools for control. Religion, when used as a source of compassion, community, and moral guidance, can be a powerful force for good. However, in the hands of a narcissist, religious scriptures can be twisted into tools of manipulation and abuse. Narcissists who present themselves as religious often cherry-pick verses and teachings that serve their agenda, ignoring the broader, compassionate messages intended by the faith itself. For instance, a religious narcissist may use specific verses or passages to justify oppressive behavior, twisting holy texts to rationalize their actions and portray their control as God's will. Whether it is verses from the Bible, Quran, Torah, or any other sacred book, they selectively interpret teachings to enforce submission, obedience, or silence. They may claim divine authority over others, positioning themselves as a spiritual guide or judge while disregarding passages that promote humility, kindness, and forgiveness. Religious narcissists may use scripture to dismiss or invalidate the experiences of others, often reframing suffering as a test or blaming the victim for lacking faith. If a partner or family member expresses hurt or confusion, they might respond with lines meant to shame or silence, suggesting that questioning their authority or decisions is akin to questioning God. For people dealing with a narcissist who weaponizes religion, this can be incredibly isolated. Faith, which should be a source of solace, becomes entangled with fear, guilt, and shame. In these situations, it is essential to recognize that true spiritual teachings across all major religions emphasize love, respect, and understanding. The narcissist's use of religion to justify harm is a distortion, not a reflection of the faith itself. In conclusion, it is important to remember that knowledge itself isn't inherently good or evil. It is how it is used that defines its impact. Narcissists, with their need for control and power, have a unique ability to twist and weaponize any information, even the most respected works, to fit their own agenda. By dissecting their playbooks today, my hope is that you have a clearer understanding of how they operate and manipulate. With that, let's bring this episode to an end. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you in the next one. Until then, as always, let the healing begin and continue.